further debate? I recognize the member from Guelph.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise for a third reading debate on Bill 214. And, Speaker, I got to say, the more I dig into the details of this bill, the more I'm concerned about why the government's fast-tracking passage of this bill. Because basically it centralizes more decision-making power in the minister's office and in cabinet. It reduces the role of technical experts, particularly those at the independent electricity system operator, and it undermines the independence of the Ontario Energy Board. As Speaker, you may just say, hey, this is an opposition member blowing, opposition to the government here. But I want to quote what Blake's legal firm, a business firm that specializes in energy issues, says, and I quote, "The proposed changes effectively give the ministry unilateral authority to overturn long-standing system codes, rules, and requirements established by the OEB, often following broader public stakeholder consultation and/or adjudication." So, Speaker, why does this matter? Well, about a year ago at this time, the OEB made a decision to protect gas consumers in the province of Ontario from Enbridge. Basically, they said, you know what? We don't want gas consumers in the present to be locked into an energy source that's going to be 13% more expensive for them to heat their homes, and we don't want them locked in long-term because they'll be holding stranded assets and paying higher prices both in the short term and the long term. So what did the government do? They took the unprecedented step for the first time in Ontario history to overturn an OEB decision, thus meaning gas prices are going to go up for consumers because they're being forced to subsidize the expansion of fossil gas infrastructure in the province of Ontario. I don't always agree with the OEB decisions over the years, but I will say the OEB is there to protect consumers. And the government undermined the OEB because they were more interested in protecting the profits of a multi-billion-dollar corporation with a $19 million CEO than protecting the people of Ontario. As a matter of fact, due to an FOI request, we learned from government's own emails that they were more concerned with protecting the profits of Enbridge than they were keeping costs lower for the people of Ontario. You know, Speaker, if they hadn't done that, we would be seeing what's happening in the United States and the EU, where the installation of heat pumps is outpacing gas furnaces because they save people money. I thought this was supposed to be the Affordable Energy Act. Why are they undermining an agency that is there to protect consumers and make energy affordable for them? We also have the Society of Professional Engineers raising concerns that the government isn't going to be required to actually consult the technical experts at the IESO in this bill. So, Speaker, when the government says we want to have a competitive bid process, and I agree we should have a competitive bid process, the previous government made some serious mistakes not doing that. If that's the case, then why are they, even in their own bill, saying they're going to prioritize nuclear power, and in the government's own announcement saying they're going to prioritize nuclear power before having a competitive bidding process? Why are they ramping up gas plants, which are more expensive than wind, solar, nuclear, and water power, making our grid 10% dirtier since they've taken over power, were elected in 2018? And because of their plans to ramp up gas plants, you're going to see an increase in climate pollution of 400% by 2030 and 800% by 2040 in our electricity sector. So I say to the government, why not engage in a competitive bid process? Right now, global investors are set to invest $2 trillion this year alone in the green energy transition. Over half of that investment is in wind and solar, because they are now the lowest cost sources of electricity generation along with storage. So why aren't we attracting that investment to Ontario? I want to say, Speaker, I'm not opposed to nuclear power, not opposed to water power, not opposed to wind and solar, but let's actually have a competitive bid process, and let's look at where global capital is making their investments. It's in wind, solar, and storage because they're the lowest cost.
Thank you. Time for debate has concluded.